What's up, everyone? Juicy J, Dude Let's Chat here with Ice, of course, and work in progress. Brent and Casey back again with it as we're reviewing Solo Leveling Level 2, Episode 2. Brent, Casey, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm not gonna sit here and fake that reaction that we had in our first take.
Oh, rookie move by me. I accidentally let everything die, so y'all don't get
Something
an epic start.
something something something. I've been reading One Piece for the past month. Something something. You finally invited me. Something something. I was awake. Something something. Good to be back.
Yeah.
That always about sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, we were there. We were there.
Yeah.
And of course, Casey, as we were saying, we haven't seen much of each other, conflicting schedules. It's good to have you back as well.
It is good to be back.
So, well, guys, let's just jump right into it. Solo leveling. Episode 2 was a redemption for some of us. Was it good? Was it bad? Let's start with you, Casey. What did you think of episode 2? Just a quick thought.
Oh wow, you're actually bringing me into it first.
Oh,
Okay.
let's go.
Oh well, let's see here. Honestly, I enjoyed it. The episode 2. We've had discussions not here on the podcast, but we had discussions about the first episode, and we all agree, some a little bit more, some not, that the first episode was not the best of the best. We were kind of a little bit off. We knew where we wanted it to end, and it was with the creepy smile of the statue, which we got in this episode, and it was still horrifying. Um, but I do actually really like this because now we're getting the dramatic points. Whereas in the beginning, we're getting the setup, and they kind of get into this situation where they're all being decimated. But now you really do have the drama of like, oh no, these people are literally turning on each other and leaving each other to die. So I very much enjoyed that one.
There we go. There we go. Brent, what did you think of the episode?
So yeah, I'm the one who's been a bit. I'm the one who's been skeptical about certain things
Mhm.
and like like storytelling decisions that they're making within the first couple of episodes, right? Um and I think what Casey was trying to get at is there's a certain level of agreement that the first episode wasn't as much of a banger as it should have been.
Mhm.
Um
Oh, a new
and
challenger.
um and episode 2, I liked episode 2 a lot more. However, the pacing isn't quite what I imagined it to be. And so I don't so whether that is like a legitimate issue or if it's just a me problem, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We've got a new face. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, just doing a little recording. Welcome, welcome to the Solo Leveling Episode 2 review. What's your name?
Name's Christian, man. What's going on?
Oh, like I said, just doing the review, man. So it sounds to me like you've caught up with episodes 1 and 2 from what Isaac was saying. What do you think
Yep.
about the episodes?
Well, well, I like how it's staying true to the story. You know, I'm reading it, so I know where the story is going to go. So I was trying to see like when he brought up that the anime is going on, he said, "Let's watch this." So I watched it with them, and I was like, "Okay, I see how it's going." I was interested, like to go back to the first episode for a second. That you know how they introduced the like S rank fight right off the jump.
Mm,
That didn't happen in the story, you know. So it gave a lot of little foreshadowing to what's going to occur, you know. So
I,
leading what I'm about to say is that when episode 2, seeing how everything was going on, how it was pacing, how everything's going, it's really opening up. It's getting past that world building that was going on in the first episode. So I think if you be patient about it because it's building up to show you what's about to happen. I mean,
Mm.
you saw the whole episode. You saw how it ended. It left it on a huge cliffhanger. You know, and it's like, all right, you know where this is gonna head to. So the thing I was kind of disappointed in is the intro,
The
the intro
song?
song. Not
You
that
don't
song, but
like
the song was
Tomorrow
It was
Together?
kind of K-poppy. No, the K-pop song I like. It was a vibe, but it was what was shown in the intro. You
Well,
know?
yes, for some of us that have read it, and Isaac had said that a little bit about your take on is that the intro has a bunch of spoilers. Like, it really does, it really does. But that's just that happens a
Th-
lot with
that
anime.
happens a lot. I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
like
like the I think a good example of recent note would be the Shibuya incident intro. That intro is riddled with spoilers for anybody who has context of the manga. And like you know, I'm not as far along in solo leveling. I have like I think I'm in volume 3 or 4. So this I don't understand what spoilers are there. I'm sure that there's spoilers everywhere in that one, but it's also my understanding that there's spoilers everywhere in like the Mob Psycho 100 first
mm,
intro. So it's spoilers for those who have read the source material, but those who haven't read it probably don't know what the heck is going on.
yeah, no, and a lot of
Fair
people
enough.
haven't.
Mhm.
A lot of people haven't.
Can,
But no,
can I just say? Can I just say? Why can't they just do what anime used to do back in the day, where they just make a whole bunch of clips that are not anywhere in the series just for an opening? Like I mentioned before, Dragon Ball Z is literally just random clips that they made specifically for the opening.
or their
Why
movies.
can't they do that no more?
They
Why can't
used
they
to do
do
that
that no
with Rock
more?
the Dragon. They used to do clips from the movies and stuff like
Yeah,
that
it
that
was
weren't
the Rock
canon.
the Dragon was all like Tree of Might. I
World's
think
strongest,
I'm pretty
everything
sure
like
it was
that,
all
bro.
Tree of Might and Dead Zone.
It's good stuff. And of course, Bleach actually did. Bleach is notorious, kind of on an off track for this, but Bleach is notorious for showing a major spoiler in one of their openings. But a lot of their other openings are just like them in clothing they've never been in situations
Yeah,
showcasing characters that aren't in the real world, but suddenly looking like they are. Like, the last one, episode season core 2, if you will, of Thousand Year Blood War, where it's them kind of jumping back and forth from their forms they usually are in versus this kind of weird, like, oh, it's this punkish rogue Ichigo and this prim and proper, very business-like Uryu and stuff. And there's a little bit in hinting what's happening, but we already knew that, going into it. So I wish it
I
was something
hated that
like that.
intro.
I love the song and I
I
love that
hate
intro
the intro.
personally.
Hey, they did that a lot with mangas too. You know, they show them wearing different outfits and stuff on covers and different chapters to
Mhm.
give you a different sense of what they look like in different worlds. They have different artists draw them, so I see why they do that in like intros.
I love those intros personally. Isaac, now, what did you think of episode 2?
so you know how I felt about the first episode, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
I was pretty critical about it.
Mhm.
Um, that being said, I did enjoy this episode more, but I'm still kind of waiting for that gotcha moment. Like,
Hmm.
I have no concept of the shows, and you know,
So new to the world.
I'm
Mhm.
new to the world, right? So whatever you guys have read and what you guys see, you guys can like tie things together. Or for instance, like Christian here was saying, oh, they aged this character. In the
Oh,
monologue, he's younger, but they aged
not
him.
not
And for me, huh?
he wasn't like aged up. He just seemed, it was the way they drew him. He just looked older to
Mhm.
me. You know,
Yeah,
the leader of the rate of the squad going in. You know, Mr. What was his name?
Oh,
Mr.
Kim?
Song. Mr. Song.
Yeah.
Sung, yeah, Sung, and I like the whole boss thing and the riddle and how the guy figured it out. But like right now, I feel like they're trying to use the gore and the whole wow, like the whole shock factor to try to grab an audience, which I'm sure it does work. The shows like The Boys and Invincible, they do stuff like that. And hell, even one of my favorite animes, Dead Man Wonderland, literally opens up with people getting dismantled. But something about this show still, like, I see that, and I'm still kind of like, Okay.
Can
I mean,
can
there have
I
been
can I?
so many.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I the other night we were in our group chat, Jeremiah, and then Casey called me, and he and we had like an incredibly lengthy conversation, and so the thing is like the solo leveling had every opportunity to break the 3-episode curse. Every opportunity to break the 3-episode curse. Like in the sense like it gets good after 3 or 4 episodes,
Yeah.
right? Like solo leveling had every opportunity to do that, and I feel in my opinion they messed it up. Like solo leveling in my opinion should have been the biggest premiere of the year. The biggest premiere of the year, like hands down. Like or at the very least the biggest premiere of a new anime of the year. Uh and they messed it up through um they messed it up through like world building that probably could have happened later on. Um and once again perhaps and once again like I said earlier, like the pacing felt off to me. The pacing felt off. um the like the story could be a little bit further along to make it feel like, oh yeah, this is going to be a massive banger of a show, which like I believe that it's still going to be a banger of the show, but once again, it's got the 3-episode curse when it
Mhm.
didn't need to.
You mind if I say
Okay.
something?
Go ahead, Pope.
Yeah. So here's what I see from what they're trying to do is that it seemed like they tried to cram a lot of information right away to get it out of the way, and then they try to like speed up. It's like they're stretching it and speeding up at the same time. So like in the first episode, they explained a lot. It's a lot of information to throw at you for someone who's not really understanding. Like you're, oh, okay, I'm coming into this, and then all of a sudden they start speeding into it, and they're trying to stretch it out. Cause I mean, you see how long it's taken 2 episodes just to get to where they're trying to drive where the storyline is going, what's going on with the main character. But one thing I noticed that they're doing is they're showcasing that, hey, all these people are strong. You know, they're gonna go into these fights. They can take Harley. Think he's out here. He's scrap. He's the everyday. He's the bottom of the barrel. But he's got to find other ways to win. And it's showing like, hey, he's using his smarts. You know, he's clearing a dungeon using his brains instead of brute strength. And they're trying to show what I think what they're trying to do is show like, hey, they're building this character up, and they might slow drag it on because there's a lot of material. Like they crammed not crammed it. They took like the first chapter of the story and they spread it already across 2 episodes. And it seems like they're gonna stretch it into 3 episodes. And it's still the first chapter of the story. Like it isn't even on the chapter 2 or 3 yet.
hmm
And there's a lot
Well,
of story.
that can be a a a huge win, but also a huge detriment to like the overall like I understand where you're coming from, but um like I feel like they could have done it a little bit better. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
So
What you
But
see?
it could just be like I said, it could be like my own perceived like notion of how the pacing should have gone.
Fair.
Sometimes when I read things, like I can read I can read manga pretty quick. And you know, if I'm reading through something pretty quick, I might expect it to go quick as well. Um but I don't know, like I guess like by now I feel like we should be seeing a little bit after the double dungeon
Fair.
by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They could have crammed most of that double dungeon info into the first episode, and then they could move on going forward with the story.
yeah.
yeah.
I
One,
hear it.
another thing, one other grip I have too, just a tiny one, just itty bitty, just itty bitty, is that how they end their episodes. I like just the instant cutoff and we're going on, but like that works when you kind of sum up what happens in the episode that leads to the next one, which you're like, okay, it makes sense for there to be another episode. How you were saying like those 2 episodes in themselves could have just been in one episode, or at least they could have did it differently. I just feel like for me the pacing is like if it's feeling rushed. but yet still kind of like they're holding back still.
Mm.
It's like when you see a little kid that's like really excited to tell you about this thing they discovered, but they're just stumbling upon words to get it out. That's how I feel about that. About how like they end the episodes and whatnot.
That's fair. That's fair. See, and so I would actually be on the opposite end of it. I feel like they're going way too fast. The first part of it, and being someone who got to read it weekly as it was coming out back in 2018, like
OG.
you didn't know what was going to happen next. As I was kind of saying before the podcast, is like being able to read it that way, it felt more like, is this an action adventure? Is it a survival horror? I'm not going to go back and try to read some translated novel. So I want to know what's going on. This is definitely not the first chapter. In fact, everything in the Double Dungeon, I believe, is the first volume, but not the first chapter. The first chapter pretty much ends with them prostrating. I feel they should have drugged this one out just a little bit more, and I feel like we still could have ended where it was this time by switching up a couple of the filler, because they've put a lot of filler into this, from taking us to the island and showing us something that's never been a part of the source material, to a lot of
Right.
the talking and showcasing of different people that we shouldn't have known about until we were well further. We should not be knowing
Chairman.
about. But yeah, the chairman should have been just kind of out of nowhere when it explained the guilds, but they've already kind of explained some of the guilds. The guy who was getting his hunter ranking, that is a character. They've showed him multiple times now, so he's going to be later, but we shouldn't have even seen him until another part. And then there's another person that they've showcased where it's like that we really shouldn't be seeing any of these people till later. And like I said in
Hmm.
our first review for it, I really do like how they're setting it up, and I will keep it at that 8.5 out of 10 because I still love it. I love it, and I love where we are. But I'll keep it there until they start repetitive things. If they were using this to kind of showcase and tell the story as opposed to how it was told before in the translations of the webtoon, where it was just kind of world building by chapter, it almost seemed, well, by segments. Like we would learn more and more as the segment got to a point where that was relevant, and then it would tell you everything about it. And this time they're bringing a lot of things to the front right now. I think that we still should have ended the first episode with the smile. I do agree with that. I think that that's that
Oh
small.
yeah.
I think that small segment where his sister's talking with the friend, it shows the mom and stuff like that, that was kind of peppered into that just before the smile, you know? I think that could
Hmm.
have actually been how we started this one. It just could have been, just to kind of showcase, oh, he's in a really bad situation and there's still all this stuff going on. I think we could have done the smile at the end of that and still been where we are today, and that would have been fine pacing. But the first part of this is definitely just kind of the exposition, just kind of setting everything up. And yet still the double dungeon was such an important and pivotal place. It's just how that
Okay.
is. So in essence, I feel like we are going a little fast. I feel like the second trial wasn't nearly as impactful as it felt when reading it. But definitely the third one, it's like, oh gosh, like that was great. I like where we ended because now we're starting, to me, just kind of like the rise. I
So,
personally loved episode 2.
all right. Well, okay. So, like, I have the volume in my hand here,
Hmm.
and the double dungeon between like entering and where we and and him getting stabbed.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, like that is like 230 chapters, 230 pages. So you're
Yeah,
right.
I've read a lot.
It's
I
lengthy.
read a lot.
Yeah,
I didn't even
that's
realize
what
I
I'm
read that
saying.
much.
Like the
I
well,
flew
no,
through it.
but here's the thing. So you and I, Christian, and of course, and Brent, you kind of have. You're not as far, but you still kind of have it. We're to points in this where it's like there's so much more to the story than what we're seeing already.
Hmm.
That we've
Hmm.
already had to accept that is the exposition. Yet even still, the exposition had so much to it. It was an appetizer that was a full course in itself. It's like I couldn't eat another bite, yet here another plate
Right.
comes, and that's why when we watched the first episode, I was like, I was a little frustrated, but you know what? I think it's going to be good. I do feel like the pacing's going pretty quick, but I think this was definitely a great way to really just showcase everything. I love the music. I loved how I loved so much about the second episode. I can't wait for the third episode. That is my take on it. One thing to note, the one thing that I noted, or the thing that was my favorite from the episode, was whenever they found out about the praise god and they had to go in front of the instruments. And if you listen to the music, every time they got to an instrument, a new piece to the music that was going on in the background added in.
Hmm.
And I loved that. That was a fantastic add in addition into this. It was great.
Ag-
I loved it.
Agreed on that point. Actually, what really reminded me was Avengers Infinity War. Or no, sorry, Avengers Endgame. Because in Infinity War, when the movie starts off, you have this huge loud chorus, but then
Mhm.
in Endgame, it's literally half of the orchestra playing the entrance because they've been all snapped. So it really reminded me of that, where it's like music plays a gigantic part in this. And one of the other things is, especially when it comes to like the timing, we just went over, or Brent just said, okay, yeah, pretty much like the entire volume is the double dungeon. Um, and one of the other things is, at least to me, for solo leveling, it has a lot of like really quiet moments where it's like characters just kind of like looking around. And of course, in a visual standpoint, you can't really do that. You can't have them sitting around for like 5 minutes doing nothing and just looking around at all the different settings and everything like that. So yeah, the timing
Yeah,
is
and
a
main
bit
character has
thrown
a lot of
off.
inner monologue too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He has a lot of inner monologue when he's talking. He has a lot of inner thoughts when he's doing some of his moves, this and that. So I get where you're coming from on that.
But honestly, I'm still with Jeremiah though. I really am looking forward to this because I want to see the change of his character, because that always fascinated me with the manhwa, is just how the character himself changes.
It's good. It is a great thing. And I'm still with Brent on this though. They had the opportunity to break the 3 anime curse, like the 3 episode curse. They didn't. That's what we're focused on now. Majority of the voices of people that watch this, they apparently really like it. And you know what? I love that because I love this material. I want it to do well. And if everyone else likes it and it's just me being nitpicky, I'm down with that too. Doesn't mean that my tastes are better than everybody else's. I think that honestly, it is great, and I'm glad people are giving it the time of day. I'm glad people are being able to experience this work of art. It is great. I
Especially
have
in a
my
new
own qualms,
medium
but it's
too,
good.
seeing it
Yeah.
seeing it
Mhm.
in a new medium for sure, not just in the written form or drawn format, actually seeing it in action with the sound, having, the visualization, like the sound effects with the attacks going. I was like, oh, that's what that would sound like when, the fire is thrown at, he do it at the ant. Like, oh, that's cool. That's what I didn't expect that, when you hear it in your head when you're reading it. And I wanted to talk the same thing about the music thing, about how, how I added on and how he said Avengers, but to me, it reminded me more of The Mandalorian. How every title
Mm.
episode packed on more and more of the instrument throughout the season. That's what it was reminding me of. As I saw that, I was like, oh man, this is good. More sound to it. Oh, he hit the drums. Now we got the horns going. I was like, all right, I'll wait for the singing part. And then when they hit the, I was like, all right, yeah, it's all come together now. So
Mhm.
I
yeah, I
love
like
it,
that.
dude. No, I love
Jeremiah, are
it.
you still concerned about A1 helming it?
A little bit. I mean,
I love
so
that spice.
yeah, definitely still, because especially after the first episode, because here's the thing. A1 has one of two routes, it seems, with their animes and productions. Either it's going to be very strong at the beginning and fizzle out before the 12, or
Hope
in this
not.
case, it has to hit the 3 episode mark for it to get intriguing. But in either case, an issue they usually have is pacing. And it's going to be a problem, I feel. So that's my take on it. Though they've done pretty well. They right now, I think
I,
visually it looks fantastic, and I'm
I'm
hoping
concerned about
that
filler.
Well, and I don't see, and I don't know. That's a topic for another time. I think we should wrap this one up for the episode, but that is definitely a consideration of how much filler is going
Well,
to be in this.
before we wrap it up, you and I already gave our grades for it. You gave it an 8.5. I gave it a 7.4.
Yeah, yeah,
How about you
yeah.
boys? What do you
Oh,
guys give it?
Hmm.
I'll give it an
No, I
8.
give an 8. I give it a
An
solid
8.
8.5.
an eight
I like the
five.
8.5 because the only thing that have my qualms against it is the introduction of a few characters early. Like they didn't have to show a few of those characters. Like we as a source material, like oh these two are key characters later on, and it's cool that they do it because they do that with like when they do other adaptations to like shows and whatnot when they like you want to build up these characters because you know like oh this could be a fan favorite character so they show them earlier because they're not in the source material as much you know so it was interesting to see you know like you said seeing certain characters go through the machine and everything else I was like oh well they're showing so many people so early but I was like you know what it's good it's good that they're showing it but I was like they could have waited they could have made you like them later you didn't have to show them now
That's
that's my
fair.
issue.
Very true. Very true.
Like
Brent.
the chairman. That was one I was not expecting to see. So
No, that's fair. Brent, I know you don't usually give uh out of tens, at least to my
Yeah,
knowledge,
I
but
don't do I don't do numbers, so I'll give it is okay out of a eh.
How many horrifying smiling statues out of?
I give it a out of okay.
how many?
I
How
don't
many?
I don't know.
Hmm,
You know, it's okay. Like it's like I said, like it's like the double dungeon should have been like the episode 1 should have been a banger. Episode 2 e- like episode 1 and 2 should have been the premiere. Like it should have been an hour-long premiere. We should have
mhm.
like I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just like
yeah, I
it's
agree
like
with that.
it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. It like it, the
And
issue like I was rubbed the wrong way with the first episode and I need my faith restored. And I'm hoping that like we can finally get to where it's like I could where I can really like I've been kind of doing like like sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but I've been doing like little episode like mini reviews on my Instagram in a reel and like I have yet to tell people hop into this show now. Last week I was like wait until episode 2. This week I was like just wait until episode 3 because like it's just like I don't know. There's just something about it that just hasn't quite stuck the landing for me yet.
Hmm.
I get you. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for everybody who's come along. This is going to be a podcast as well because I know it's a lengthy video, but I hope y'all have watched the end. In the description below, you're going to see links for work in the progress. And Christian, I'll talk to you afterwards. If you got anything that you want to promote, we'll also get it in there. Till next time, everybody, stay happy, stay healthy, stay beautiful.